I'm Chris, and on this channel, I offer tips, guidance, and new perspectives on anxiety and OCD based on my own recovery. So, today I want to talk about OCD as a chemistry set, or more precisely, our bodies being a chemistry set. I was involved in a discussion yesterday on Reddit where the discussion was, is OCD caused by a chemical imbalance or not? Now, as I'm not a biologist, I can't tell you what is happening inside the OCD individual and how chemicals are affecting the thought processes of everyone. But what I can talk about is my own experience. Now, as I said, I've made a full recovery from OCD. I'm fairly calm, fairly happy, and I'm turning into an optimistic person. And throughout my recovery period, I never once took an external chemical, pharmaceutical, to aid me in my recovery. So, in my experience, it seems to be more so that people with OCD are thinking and behaving in anxious and obsessive ways rather than it being caused directly by a chemical imbalance. Now, everything can affect our internal chemical soup. We're a big chemistry set, and we're always releasing these different chemicals within our body. Some which make us feel awful, like adrenaline, and some which make us feel fantastic, like serotonin. So I spent the a few years reprogramming my mind so that it would reduce these happy chemicals rather than the anxious chemicals. A huge impacting factor on the chemicals that are released within our bodies are our lifestyles and the external influences that we receive. So naturally, if you're in an environment which is scary, or you're in a relationship with arguing, or you're stepping on eggshells wondering when the next time that person is going to explode and get really angry at you, of course you're going to be releasing these chemicals which are going to make you feel bad. Now, everyone watches films, watches music. I'd like to think, how good are these things for you? We may enjoy them, but are they actually good for us? Now, happy films, comedies will be very good for us. But I find that when I was suffering from OCD, I was more attached to the anxious, the scary horror films and the violence. Now, this is going to be releasing all sorts of negative chemicals within us. Our brain does not know the difference between a thought, a dream, or a reality. So I'm sure you've awoken in the middle of the night having a panic attack. I know I have. You wake up, you realize it's just a dream, and you calm down. But even though consciously you knew that it was only a dream, your body didn't. So your body was reacting as if that dream was real. And it was only when you consciously realized that it was a dream that you were able to calm yourself down. So I need you to realize that the external world is all about perception. So if we're watching horror films, for instance, we see on the screen these horrific encounters, scary situations, and we sit there like this on the edge of our seat watching this film, getting more and more drawn into it. And this is releasing adrenaline within us because we can't tell the difference. Our body and our subconscious mind don't realize that that's a film in front of us. All it can see is something happening right in front of us, and it thinks it's real. So that means that we should minimize the negative inputs that we receive so that our biology doesn't release these chemicals, these flight or fight chemicals, and we release happy and optimistic chemicals instead. Now, saying that, those factors are big, but the biggest of all is our own internal thoughts. The story that we're running in our head is going to be is going to release more chemicals in our body than any external source. So if you have anxious, OCD, intrusive thoughts, you are constantly running a scary thought story within your head, which is constantly releasing more and more and more and more of these negative chemicals. This is overwhelming your body. If you if you look back to my last video, you'll see that OCD has a large part caused by subconscious exhaustion. So these thoughts are just exhausting the mind more and more and more. These thoughts are just coming up from the subconscious mind. You're not asking for them. They are simply just being produced to the conscious mind without any of your input or request. This is like a recorder. It just goes over and over the same stories. So to go about stopping these thoughts, we need to begin the mind releasing happier peptides into the body. So when negative and scary thoughts come up, I talk over the top of my thoughts with more optimistic and trusting thoughts. So if, for instance, my mind was offering me thoughts saying, what if when you drove home last night, you killed someone by knocking them over and you didn't know? That's a scary thought. And my old mind programming would have gone, yeah, like would try to work out all the ways that this could have happened and me not know what was happening. So instead of me now trying to argue with these thoughts, trying to understand these thoughts, I simply say things like, I trust that I drove home safely. There's nothing to worry about. I'm an excellent driver. I've never hit anyone before. Driving offers me safety and freedom. I enjoy driving. I will carry on driving. We need to learn to laugh at our thoughts. These thoughts aren't reality. They're just thoughts that OCD is trying to use to scare you into staying at home. If you are terrified of driving your car because every time you drive your car you think you're going to kill someone, you're going to stay at home. The patterns, when you can see the patterns, they're really obvious. So I talk to myself all day long in a calm, happy, optimistic tone so that it's reprogramming the subconscious mind as to not release those unconscious negative peptides anymore. A very important tip is that I found personally when I had anxiety, I had a lot of tension in my shoulders. I'd be rigid, I'd bite my fingernails. I was always in a defensive posture. So I've learned to relax my body, drop my shoulders, breathe more deeply. I breathe through my diaphragm rather than my chest, which means that the anxiety chemicals within my body being released are minimized. I work on a calm tone of voice so that previous anxiety, quick, scary, what if, like da 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 sort of thinking, I talk over the top and in a calm and relaxed voice. Everything's fine. There's no need to worry. All is well. It's going to work out for me. So, these are some tips, some very, very basic tips on how to release more positive chemicals into your body and how to minimize the negative ones which are being produced by the constant bombardment of thoughts within our own heads. So I hope this helps, and I hope you will meet me on the next one.